Now, forewarned weather with Ashlee Baracy.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everyone. Getting you over the hump, even though those temperatures took a little bit of a slump yesterday, we are going to be rising and warming up and actually getting into the 70s by Friday. We're not in that territory quite yet today, but 50s will be making a comeback before you know it. So 39 is where we're starting off in the city, where we're taking a live look from our Windsor Sky Cam. Good morning to our friends across the river. 35 degrees in Ann Arbor, same in Pontiac, 34 in Monroe. West-northwesterly winds about 5 to 15 miles per hour will make these 30s feel like we're below the freezing mark, and a lot of upper 20s out there for wind chill readings. But right now, as we look at that 24-hour temperature change, we're about 10 degrees cooler across Metro Detroit. But you have to remember, yesterday's temperatures were pretty steady. We only were rising a couple degrees into the afternoon, but we'll see a bigger swing for today. So wind gust forecast. Today, right now, as we speak, we do have those wind gusts coming out of the northwest between about 20 to 25 miles per hour. And we're going to hold on to that range of winds throughout the day. Yesterday was really blustery with those gusts around 40 miles per hour. So we're starting to see improvement, but still on the breezy side throughout at least midday. Wind chill readings right now, as I mentioned, 20s. And so our only exception of feeling like we are above freezing would be City Airport, that wind chill of 35, but 30 in Grosse Ile and mid to upper 20s across the rest of southeastern Michigan. So look at that wind gust forecast. As I mentioned, we're just kind of staying that 20-mile-per-hour range through the early afternoon before we start to see those winds relax a bit heading into tonight. But we'll have clear skies tonight, which means temperatures take a tumble through the overnight before we warm up even more tomorrow. So hourly forecast today, peeling back those clouds close to 50 by 2, and we'll be into the low 50s for that afternoon high, just a smidge below average. But tonight, with those clear skies, we fall to around 32, and I think some of the suburbs could likely be in the upper 20s. And so it's a clear and cold night, sunset at 8:16. But with these temperatures falling below about 35, even some of those hardy flowers, if maybe you have a few pots of pansies and things, they need to either be covered or brought inside if those temperatures do fall below the freezing mark. So west-northwesterly winds will be about 5 miles per hour. Like I said, relaxing winds through the overnight. Warming close to 60 tomorrow. What I wanted to point out was the record high Friday. As we rise about 20 degrees above average, getting into the upper 70s, we're still about 10 degrees off from the record of 86. That was set back in 2004. Certainly not going to complain about not hitting a record when we're still going to be about 20 degrees above average. But you might gripe a little bit the fact that it comes with rain, but it's not an all-day washout. So by Thursday, late evening, clouds are beginning to increase. We spend a bulk of the day with sunshine. Clouds roll in ahead of a warm front. There's a saying, meteorologically speaking, never trust a warm front, because there always could be just a little embedded thunderstorm, but this isn't going to be linear like what we have on tap come Friday night. So as we go into Friday morning, by the time we get to daybreak, we have some showers rolling through. I think this is mainly just a light shower event. And then by the time we get to Friday night, after sunset, maybe potentially even after midnight Friday going into Saturday morning, that's where we have a better chance of some of those storms to fire off. And that's going to bring some cooler conditions as we go into Saturday. Maybe a lingering rain shower Saturday morning, but we dry out throughout the day. And Sunday should be pretty dry with most of that rain staying south of the state line. So Friday night, slight risk for severe weather. Damaging winds and hail would be the primary threat. That's a level 2 on a 5-level scale. So we're going to be tweaking the timeline of those storms, or the storm potential at least, Friday night, as we get a better grasp of the timeline of that passing cold front after that warm front lifts. Come Saturday, we're into the 60s, falling to 50s, but still pretty seasonal for your Easter Sunday. So we'll have mostly cloudy skies, but dry conditions for the holiday. And then we bounce back to the low 60s by early next week. That's a look at your future forecast.
From Local 4 News.
Good to have you here at 7:30, everybody, on a Wednesday morning. So goodbye, Red Brick Road. The sun is going down on the iconic Corktown bricks as a major revitalization effort starts to take shape there.
Yes, but they are going to try to keep the charm of the bricks in another way. Kim DiGiulio joins us now with more on this very long stretch of reconstruction of Michigan Avenue in Corktown and the public meeting available to you to weigh in. Kim? I love seeing this and that excitement, and a big thanks for Damon Fernandez for shedding a light on the program. Detroit's Office of Sustainability says that those upgrades should be completed in the next year. First solar infrastructure is expected to go in the ground by late summer, and the first solar parks should be up and running by second quarter of next year. And it's always nice to get out and enjoy the park and it not be like mushy and muddy and cold.
I also need the sun to hit those panels.
That is true. That is true. I had to get an earful from Darnell this morning because he was at T-ball practice yesterday.
It was freezing.
Yeah, that was rough. And then you probably got that cold drizzle on top of that.
Yeah.
They did pretty good, but yeah, it was.
They played through it, but the parents in the stands,
not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Is it classic T-ball where a ball gets hit and they're all just falling down and throwing it everywhere?
It was practice, so
practice.
But first practice ever. So
wow.
Yeah, so we need you to get in that cauldron and get it together.
Warm and dry things out.
We have Hutch standing by over here. We're going to talk to her, and I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of pressure put on me for next week.
That's right.
Softball
You got a lot of work to do.
I know. It's that time of year. We're talking about those softball, baseball, T-ball forecasts, and we do have a warm-up going into the next few days. And even with the little dip that we have, we're still going to be above average by early next week, but it is a cool start to your Wednesday morning. We're sitting at 37 degrees in the city, 35 in Ann Arbor, 34 in Pontiac, 36 in Monroe. You pair that with a west-northwesterly breeze, about 10 to 15 miles per hour, and gusting upward of that, and it does feel cooler out there. And it's a cool, cloudy start. But the good news is we're breaking apart those clouds today and welcoming back the sunshine that'll help get us into more seasonal territory. But that temperature change, it's noticeable this morning. We're about 10 degrees cooler. But the only difference is yesterday the temperatures were pretty steady. We didn't have a huge rise into the afternoon. So we're going to see a bigger swing today, given that we're starting off cooler, but we get back into the 50s. So wind gusts right now coming out of the northwest around 20 miles per hour. And so that does give us that wind chill effect with the northwesterly breeze. So feeling like we're below the freezing mark. And so city airport's been fluctuating a little bit, but right now feeling like 30, 28 at Metro and Ann Arbor, 25 in Pontiac. So you get the picture, mid to upper 20s for most folks for that feels like temperature. For the rest of the day, clouds will decrease and thin out, and we get towards 50 by 2, and we'll continue to warm up in the low 50s throughout the afternoon. So just a smidge below average. Now tonight, sunset is at 8:16, and as we continue to get past sunset with the radiational cooling, we fall to around the freezing mark, and I think the suburbs are likely in the upper 20s. So it's a clear and cold night ahead. If you have some of those early spring flowers and pots outside, I'm talking pansies, things like that, this might even be a little too cool for them. 35 is kind of that threshold for those type of flowers, so you might want to bring those pots indoors tonight. But high temperatures will continue to rise. We're close to 60 on Thursday, upper 70s on Friday, which is about 20 degrees above average, and we will be still about 10 degrees shy of what the record high is on that date, and that is 86 degrees set back in 2004. So with the warmth will come some wet weather. It's a warm front that brings the first round of rain and then a chasing cold front, and we've been down this road before. You can't trust a warm front. It could bring an embedded thunderstorm. Better chance for storms, though, with the cold front. So warm front will start to bring some rain showers to the area by the time we get towards daybreak Friday. Then we spend the rest of the daylight hours pretty dry. After sunset, maybe even after midnight, we get a line of storms that develop with an approaching cold front, and that could bring some strong to severe storms to the area. Lingering rain early Saturday before we dry things out, and the bulk of the rain going into Easter Sunday will be south of the state line. But we have a slight level 2 risk for some of those storms to be severe later on Friday. And as we take a closer look at this, mainly damaging wind gusts and hail would be the primary threats. So your future forecast, upper 70s Friday, falling to about 60 Saturday, 50s dry for your Easter Sunday, mostly cloudy skies, and bouncing back into the low 60s to start the early part of next week. That's your future forecast.